be known, let the terms be ever so exactly defined, without a train of reasoning and enquiry. But to convince us of this proposition that where there is no property, there can be no injustice, it is only necessary to define the terms and explain injustice to be a violation of property. This proposition is indeed nothing but a more imperfect definition. It is the same case with all those pretended syllogistical reasonings which may be found in every branch of learning except the sciences of quantity and number, and that these may safely, I think, be pronounced the only proper objects of knowledge and demonstration. All other enquiries of men regard only matter of fact and existence, and these are evidently incapable of demonstration. Whatever is may not be. No negation of a fact can involve a contradiction. The non-existence of any being without exception is as clear and distinct an idea as its existence. The proposition which affirms it not to be, however false, is no less conceivable and intelligible than that which affirms it to be. The case is different with the sciences properly so called. Every proposition which is not true is there confused and unintelligible. That the cube root of 64 is equal to half of 16 of 10 is equal to the half of 10 is a false proposition and can never be distinctly conceived. But that the Caesar or the angel Gabriel or any being never existed may be a false proposition, but still is perfectly conceivable and implies no contradiction. The existence, therefore, of any being can only be proved by arguments from its cause or its effect, and these arguments are founded entirely on experience. If we reason a priori, anything may appear able to produce anything. The falling of a pebble may, for aught we know, extinguish the sun, or the wish of a man control the planets in their orbits. It is only experience which teaches us the nature and bounds of cause and effect, and enables us to infer the existence of one object from that of another. Such is the foundation of moral reasoning, which forms the greater part of human knowledge and is the source of all human action and behavior. Moral reasonings are either concerning particular or general facts. All deliberations in life regard the former, as also all disquisitions in history, chronology, geography, and astronomy. The sciences which treat of general facts are politics, natural philosophy, physics, chemistry, etc., where the qualities, causes, and effects of a whole species of objects are inquired into. Divinity or theology, as it proves the existence of a deity and the immortality of souls, is composed partly of reasonings concerning particular, partly concerning general facts. It has a foundation in reason, so far as it is supported by experience, but its best and most solid foundation is faith and divine revelation. Morals and criticism are not so properly objects of the understanding as of taste and sentiment. Beauty, whether moral or natural, is felt more properly than perceived. Or, if we reason concerning it and endeavor to fix its standards, we regard a new fact, to wit, the general tastes of mankind, or some such fact, which may be the object of reasoning and enquiry. When we run over libraries, persuaded of these principles, what havoc must we make? If we take in our hand any volume of divinity or school metaphysics, for instance, let us ask, Does it contain any abstract reasoning concerning quantity or number? No. Does it contain any experimental reasoning concerning matter of fact and existence? No. Commit it then to the flames, for it can contain nothing but sophistry and illusion. That's the conclusion.
Just flip back a couple of pages to the middle. I got a bent place.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where's it at? Let me see. Always find it.
There you go. Okay. Right here?
The circle.
As long as we confine our speculations to the appearances of objects to our senses, without entering into disquisitions concerning their real nature and operations, we are safe from all difficulties and can never be embarrassed by any question. Thus, if it be asked, if the invisible and intangible distance interposed between two objects be something or nothing, it is easy to answer that it is something, viz., a property of the objects which affect the senses after such a particular manner. If it be asked whether two objects having such a distance betwixt them touch or not, it may be answered that this depends upon the definition of the word touch. If objects be said to touch when there is nothing sensible interposed betwixt them, these objects touch. If objects be said to touch when their images strike contiguous parts of the eye, and when the hand feels both objects successively without any interposed motion, these objects do not touch. The appearances of objects to our senses are all consistent, and no difficulties can ever arise but from the obscurity of the terms we make use of. If we carry our inquiry beyond the appearances of objects to the senses, I am afraid that most of our conclusions will be full of skepticism and uncertainty.
Writing, by the way.
Yeah.
It's writing more about, the poor folks and how the poor folks are being treated and, the whole 9 yards. Because you get very little information about that side of it besides, the whole Jesus Christ syndrome.
Well, isn't that amazing? You don't really hear much about poor folks? I don't know.
It's swept aside.
When did you ever?
Just swept aside. That's what I mean. That's what I mean, the philosophy thing. Because most of these guys, they lived a nice life. Come on now.
Most of them, yeah. Aristotle was his patron was the emperor Alexander.
So therefore, that writing basically have to sustain itself because of that.
Well, yeah.
So there's this thing different between the whole Jesus Christ syndrome. What did he write?
He didn't write anything. He wrote nothing. He wrote on water. He wrote on water. He walked on water. He wrote on water. He spit on water.
And Moses?
Moses, he walked through water.
So it gets into that area of substance,
Yeah.
So kind of like, with the Epictetus, he gets deep into the substance. And rather than taking an empirical view of everything and breaking it down to the Hume's thing. And then you get Spencer.
Spencer, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Decline of Western civilization.
Yeah.
Yes, you do, and you get, and then you get Marx.
That was the breakdown.
Yes, that was a big break, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
And you get Schopenhauer.
Yeah.
And What's his name? Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
And they go totally into the faith thing. And
So Spinoza, he kind of like got deep into that. So he escaped and went to Holland.
right.
And there he really got deep into the whole religious thing, and he wrote such an uproar he had to leave there.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he came up with that, and that kind of like saved him.
Yeah. He was pre-Galileo or post-Galileo?
Post.
Post-Galileo.
Yeah.
No, he can't have invented lens grinding. He was just a really good lens grinder.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because the formulas already figured out. He just a matter of him, put those formulas together. And Galileo, like Newtonian thing, like they just upset the whole apple cart,
Oh yeah, Galileo was. Yeah. You know the story about Charles Lawton and Galileo? Charles Lawton knew that Brecht had written the play Galileo, and he wanted to play Galileo. So when Brecht went to Hollywood, Charles Lawton invited him to live in the gardener's cottage of his estate. He had one of those big Hollywood estates with a huge grounds in the back and an oval lawn in the back, and the gardener's cottage was on the inside of that. So Brecht stayed there. And every morning, Lawton would come from the mansion and Brecht would come from the cottage, each of them loaded down with books, dictionaries and language books and all kinds of stuff. And they translated Galileo together, although Lawton had no German and Brecht had very little English. And they would fight over the words. And they actually came to wrestling occasionally on this. But they got it all translated. And then they finished it in the summer of 1945.
Wow.
And then the bombs dropped.
Wow.
And they changed the ending of it.
Wow.
The first ending was Andrea Sarto, the Galileo's disciple. Galileo gives in to the Pope, and they show him the instruments of torture, and he says, "Okay, I recant everything. I take it all back." And Andrea thinks he's betrayed science and that this is a terrible thing. But he goes to see Galileo before he leaves the country, just because Galileo was his teacher and he wants to say goodbye, even if Galileo was a shit and betrayed science. So he comes in sort of with that attitude, and Galileo goes to this big globe that's in his chambers where he's sort of under house arrest. And he lifts up the top of the globe, and inside is his handwritten copy of the Discorsi. And Andrea says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I misjudged you. You didn't betray us at all. This is the whole purpose of it," and so forth. And he takes the manuscript and escapes across the Swiss border and brings the manuscript to the Northern European astronomers, and that changes the whole course of science. That was the original ending. And Galileo is portrayed as a smart cookie. He fooled the Inquisition. Then the bombs dropped, and they changed the ending. It's almost the same, but Andrea comes in, all the same thing, and as Andrea is praising Galileo, Galileo says, "I'm sorry, you're wrong. I should never have given in to them." And Lawton did the part in Los Angeles. It was live theater, and nobody thought to film it. Nobody filmed that, so that performance is lost to history, and Lawton would be the perfect Galileo. I mean, you can't imagine anybody doing it better. But oh man,
You know, I find that that's the way it is.
that's the way it is.
That's
Yeah,
the way it is. You know?
yeah.
That's
the
why
way.
I try to, you know, keep the thing running. You know.
Keep it going. Yeah.
Otherwise, you
Keep it
know,
going.
so much is lost.
So much is lost. You know, I think.
But you know, what would happen if it stayed in place? That would be the other part of the scenario.
Well, you don't want it to stay in place. You want it to keep moving. I hope somebody does a book of your photographs, or at least a few of them. Because man, I was looking at these things the other day. I walked by here at night, and I looked at some of these things, and I thought, shit, some of these landscape photographs are as good as any landscape photographs. Some of the portraits are as good as any portrait. Some of the experimental shit is as good as any of that stuff. You just do too many things too well. Nobody can pigeonhole you. So they can't say, oh, Alex, I know him, he does fashion photography. Or I know him, he photographs tables. Yeah, okay, and they're really great. Those great photographs, yeah. Or I know him, he photographs nude women. Yeah, great.
They
You know?
leave like that, right?
They can't do that. They just say, it's Alex Harsley, he just photographs shit, you know?
Yeah,
And it's a
that's
problem. It's a problem because people can't think outside of you know, they want to grab onto something and say, well, this is who this guy is.
If that was to happen, I wouldn't